Jerry Jeudy was supposed to be Shedeur Sanders' greatest weapon in Cleveland. Instead, he became his biggest liability. From a flat-footed drop at day 2 of the 2026 OTAs that gifted the defense a free interception, to a nationally televised sideline explosion that left the entire NFL speechless. This isn't just a story about one bad practice rep. This is a story about a veteran receiver who has repeatedly, undeniably, made his young quarterback look worse. And when Garrett Bush got the mic, he didn't flinch for a single second. So the real question is this: is Jerry Jeudy just struggling, or is something deeper going on inside that Cleveland Browns locker room? May 20, 2026. Day 2 of Cleveland Browns OTAs. The media was on the field, the cameras were rolling, and the quarterback competition the entire NFL had been watching was about to give everyone something to talk about. From the jump, the rep distribution told a story. Watson was taking the majority of first-team reps. Sanders was up first for the brief 11-on-11 session. But other than that, Watson was the first quarterback up throughout the rest of the afternoon.
Gabriel, who was watching practice, said from what he saw, Deshaun took the majority of the first-team reps.
It felt to me like Deshaun took significantly more reps with the ones. If I came away from watching that, I would say that that's the direction that it is going, which is not what we thought all along, so not a surprise there.
Sure.
That Deshaun will be the starter.
Is it his job to lose, Aaron Goldhammer?
Probably right now, that's what it looks like. I mean, but Riz, can he stay healthy? What's going to happen when people start chasing him? Is he going to be rusty? Where is his head at? You know, I mean, there are a million questions about Deshaun Watson. And just because he starts the season as the quarterback doesn't mean he's going to be the quarterback for the second half of that game.
Watson did get the majority of the most snaps yesterday with the ones. Is that correct?
Yes. And I think what's important at this stage of this so-called, well, it is a competition, is the number of reps, regardless of who's on the field with you. Because, Riz, at this point, they're putting different guys in on every play. Basically, when the number one offensive line is in front of the quarterback, that's the first team. But he's putting in third-string tight ends, third-string receivers. So my point is, the guy who's getting the most snaps is the guy who's being most prepared, perhaps.
Every snap counted. Every decision under center was being studied, logged, and debated in real time by reporters, analysts, and fans watching from the outside. Sports Illustrated. Shedeur Sanders started his 7-on-7 session with a tight window completion to tight end Jack Stoll. Clean throw. Good read. Exactly the kind of calm, precise execution that makes you nod and say, yeah, that kid belongs here. Then came the very next play. Sanders targeted Jerry Jeudy on the following snap. The throw was on the money, but cornerback Miles Bryant jumped the route, made the interception, and took it the other way. One play, one moment. And suddenly, the narrative around Shedeur Sanders on day 2 of OTAs wasn't about the tight window dime he just threaded to his tight end. It was about the interception. Sports Illustrated. The analysts who were in that building described it clearly. Shedeur held the safeties with his eyes, went through his progressions, and delivered the ball on time. The issue wasn't the quarterback. The issue was the receiver. Jerry Jeudy stopped his route. He went flat-footed. He waited on the ball instead of attacking it. And that hesitation gave the cornerback just enough time to get underneath and make a play that should never have been possible. When Garrett Bush and the crew pulled out the QB tracker, what followed wasn't just analysis. It was accountability served cold.
For the tracker numbers, this is for practice. This is courtesy of ESPN Cleveland Browns OTA day number 2 in the books. Here's every quarterback performing 11-on-11 versus 7-on-7 team drills. Watson and Sanders were the only quarterbacks to take first-team reps. As you can see, 7-11, 0 touchdowns, 1 interception. We'll actually show you that clip coming up here as well. And Watson, 13-24, 1 touchdown, had a nice throw in the back of the end zone. We'll start with that, actually, to be truthful. Let's get to this, and we'll take a look at the Deshaun Watson throw to Denzel Boston, a nice pretty throw in the back of the end zone.
The numbers were right there in black and white. Watson went 13 of 24 with 1 touchdown on the day. Sanders went 7 of 11 with 1 interception. The only one that came not from a bad throw, but from a receiver who didn't finish his route. The math wasn't doing Jeudy any favors. Sports Illustrated. But it went deeper than numbers.
That was a good matter of fact, run that. Tyvus, that's a throw. Now, I got to show you now. Shedeur has some nice throws in there.
He's there like Stacy Tyvus, fight. Mr. Society, he was like, fight. You gotta fight.
I want to get your opinion on this situation because Jerry Jeudy, come on back to the football, Jerry. Jerry, come on back to the football. It was an interception thrown in this, but it was a nice play as well thrown by Shedeur Sanders. This clip is about 1:20. You guys get your notes out. Let me know what you think. This was Shedeur Sanders in 11-on-11 to 7-on-7. Play with Jerry Jeudy. From your perspective, what did you see in those two plays?
No, I seen a quarterback that took his drop. I love the fact that he keep his eyes down the middle of the field because you don't want to give it away. You know what I'm saying? You're trying to hold those safeties so they don't know exactly where you're going with the ball. Then obviously, boom, boom, go through the progression, get the ball out. Did a really good job threading the needle between a linebacker and a safety coming down on the ball with a tight end. Boom, that was a great play. That's exactly what you want. That to me is like the definition of arm talent, being able to make those type of throws right there. So I love what I seen there. The second play, that one was, I don't know.
In 2025, Jeudy led the Browns wide receiver room, but finished with just 50 receptions for 605 receiving yards and 2 receiving touchdowns. For context, that same season, Jackson Smith-Njigba made 119 receptions across the league. Puka Nacua racked up 129. ESPN ranked the Browns' offensive core and wide receiver room 29th in the entire NFL, 29th. And it wasn't just the analysts piling on. Fans across social media were furious. The clip of Jeudy going flat-footed on the Sanders pass circulated everywhere. Former players weighed in. People who had run routes at the professional level watched that play and shook their heads. The criticism wasn't just about athletic ability, it was about mentality. Because there's a difference between a receiver who can't make a play and a receiver who won't make a play. The first is a talent problem. November 30, 2025. Cleveland Browns versus the San Francisco 49ers. National television. The kind of game where a young quarterback needs everything to go right, and almost nothing did. The Browns lost 26-8. And on the sideline, CBS cameras caught something that immediately went viral across every platform. Sports Illustrated. After another failed second-half series, Jeudy and Sanders were shown in a heated exchange on the bench. They were looking at a tablet reviewing plays when Jeudy clapped his hands several times and said, "That's wrong, that's wrong," before center Ethan Poches stepped in to intervene. A veteran receiver clapping his hands in a rookie quarterback's face on national television in the middle of a blowout loss. Not in a private film room, not behind closed doors, on the sideline, in front of the cameras, in front of the country. Video clips showed the mercurial wide receiver venting his frustrations toward his rookie QB, clapping his hands as Sanders sat with an iPad and listened without much reaction. Shedeur didn't flinch, he didn't escalate, he absorbed it. The Shadow League, the internet did not absorb it quietly. Fans erupted immediately. One fan's post put it bluntly. "Nobody is checking for you. Jerry Jeudy is not Justin Jefferson elite, so he shouldn't be screaming at Shedeur Sanders." The Cleveland Browns were in the middle of a miserable afternoon. The Bears jumped out to a 21-3 lead by the third quarter, and the Browns were being dismantled on the road, eventually losing 31-3. Shedeur Sanders was struggling. The offense was going nowhere. And then, with under 6 minutes left in the third quarter, Shedeur Sanders did everything right. Here's the thing about Shedeur Sanders. He refused to let it become a story about Jeudy. When asked directly about the Jeudy play after the game, Sanders said, "It is what it is. I'm not one to kick someone while they're down." He understands it was a big play, and I'm sure he's hard on himself. So there's no need for me to be extra and do that. That composure. From a rookie quarterback who had just been embarrassed on national television, who had just taken the statistical blame for an interception caused by his receiver's inability to secure a football, who was already fighting every single day just to prove he belonged in an NFL building after being told by 30-plus teams that he wasn't worth a first-round selection, and he refused to throw his receiver under the bus. That says everything about Shedeur Sanders' character. If Jeudy's issues were this consistent, this documented, and this damaging to the development of your young quarterback, why was nothing being done about it? Through the sideline incident and everything that followed, Jeudy had just 35 catches for 421 yards and 1 touchdown on the season, a devastating drop-off from his 2024 campaign, where he set career highs with 90 receptions and 1,229 receiving yards. The talent was clearly still there. The production wasn't, so where does this leave us? We are now in May 2026, and the Cleveland Browns are running it back. Another OTA cycle, another quarterback competition. Watson is back on the field, competing against Sanders and Gabriel, while the Browns also added Dillon Green in the 6th round of the 2026 NFL Draft. The competition is real, the stakes are real, and Jerry Jeudy is still on that roster. The bigger question facing Cleveland this summer isn't just who will win the quarterback competition. It's whether the men around Shedeur Sanders are actually invested in seeing him succeed. Because talent, preparation, and character can only carry a quarterback so far. At some point, you need your weapons to show up for you. You need your number 1 receiver to fight for the football the way you fight for your career every single day. Is Jerry Jeudy's repeated failure to perform for Shedeur Sanders a coincidence? Or is Cleveland quietly watching its most promising quarterback prospect get undermined from the inside? Drop your take in the comments right now, because this conversation is just getting started. If you've made it this far, you already know this channel doesn't do surface-level takes. Hit subscribe, turn on notifications, and stay locked in, because as these OTAs progress, this story is going to get a whole lot more interesting.